Train collisions may seem like something that you'd only see in black and white video, but they do still happen. They are rare, but terrifying when they happen.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Luckily for us, we live in the age where everyone films everything, so we got a bunch of them on camera for you today. These powerful machines remind us how even small mistakes can lead to massive consequences. Let's take a look at some of the biggest train collisions and mistakes ever. First up, check out this massive train that went completely off the tracks. It came super close to hitting a car right beside it, but luckily, the car managed to swerve out of the way just in time. Next, we have some crazy footage of a train plowing through floodwater. After a train derailment in Brazil, during the cleanup, workers somehow managed to derail a second train. Talk about you had one job! Okay, I really don't know why anyone would need to hear this, but you should never cross the tracks of the train when the train is on the way. Luckily though, this driver had some serious luck on his side. The quick-thinking crew of a Canadian passenger train hit the emergency brakes just in time to avoid a head-on collision with a stray freight train. While waiting at the tracks, this driver captured the moment when the train cars derailed and flipped over, all because of something unusual on the tracks. Thankfully, she managed to get out of there just in time. A massive freight train carrying limestone powder derailed, spilling it everywhere. Can you imagine being the head of the cleanup team when you got that call? This track is so badly warped, it looks like the train's giving a little shimmy for us as it goes by. A passenger train at Mumbai's Churchgate station overshot the platform and hit the buffers. Talk about a rough stop, but thankfully, nobody was harmed. The front of this train in Hungary completely detaches from the back, causing the rest to derail. This train, loaded with potash fertilizer, derailed in dramatic fashion at a station in Kazakhstan, with a mid-train car smashing metal structures and even colliding with a parked locomotive. Definitely not your average delivery mishap. This is what the good old-fashioned steam locomotives look like traveling through snowy weather, with hot coal falling out the front and sparks flying. Truly a sight to behold. A train derailment near Philadelphia with 15 train cars slipping off the tracks. Thankfully, most were empty and there were no hazardous materials, but it must have been a tough job for those who had to clean up this huge mess. In Poland, a car barely escaped disaster as it smashed through a railway crossing barrier, getting grazed by an oncoming train. Thankfully, no one was hurt. Again, I can't imagine who needs to be told this, but you should never ignore the crossing signals. The steam engine was probably aiming for the other line, but instead, it ended up in a head-on collision. Somebody's getting fired! A moving train slammed into a stationary one on the tracks, resulting in a spectacular crash. Thankfully, no one was in the train when it crashed. A freight train rolls by with a blown turbo, meaning the engine's turbocharger is damaged, causing a loss of power and efficiency. Even though it might look impressive, it's gonna be very expensive to repair. Here's another catastrophic turbo failure on a Dash 9 locomotive, spewing out heavy smoke. Or maybe just cosplaying as a steam engine. With the sheer amount of smoke bellowing out of this train, it's pretty clear there's gotta be something seriously wrong with that engine. This old beat-up train was finally being scrapped after years of service, its worn-out parts barely held together. A sad but necessary end to its journey. A train trestle in California was badly damaged by fire and is now out of service. Just another reminder of how quickly things can go up in flames. If you've never been to Japan, you might not be aware of their upside-down trains, with tracks running above instead of below. It might look like a terrifying roller coaster, but it's actually a clever way to save space. Think you'd be up for this one on your daily commute? Building a market so close to the train tracks is a risky move, and this clip just proves it. It's practically a disaster waiting to happen. This train caught fire after a traction motor failure, sparking flames and burning tires. The smell of burnt shoes lingered for over half an hour. Definitely a fiery situation. And then we got this train that's so overcrowded that hundreds of people climbed on top. Personal space? That's for first class. Dashcam footage caught the Ohio train derailment as it suddenly crashed into a signal post. rail fanning, a train caught fire due to turbocharger issues. It limped all the way to Pennsylvania before getting extra power. Not every day you see a train get flipped over by an excavator. This train was absolutely flying, zooming past at nearly 300 kilometers per hour. Literally, blink and you'll miss it. In a heart-stopping moment, a woman pushes her pram across railway tracks just seconds before a train zooms by. Definitely a dangerous move. Luckily, the train cars were empty. Just imagine the chaos if they weren't. This train derailed so completely that it literally made it onto the road. Fortunately, no cars were near the crossing at the time. Imagine you're on your way to work when an unmanned locomotive train derails right in front of you.
No, that just happened. That just happened. No way. Where does that just happen? I just watched a derailment happen. Oh my god. This is crazy.
While rail fanning, this express train was zooming by at 60 to 70 miles per hour when a girl dashed across the crossing. This train's turbo completely explodes while on the track, causing flames to erupt from the back. Just as one train passed, another appeared around the bend. Now that's what you call rolling with your homies. This train was going through town with a blown-up turbo, causing smoke to go everywhere. Something bad clearly happened to the engine of this train. There was fire and smoke everywhere. When the steam train lets out a thick cloud of steam, the whole area basically vanished. This train derailed at a sharp curve, causing it to break in half. Fortunately, it was far enough away from the road that no one got hurt.
Ty, you want to give us a couple whistles and keep it coming good for 5?
This Jordan spreader, a type of train snowplow, struggled to navigate through heavy snow, ultimately causing a derailment.
That's your crossing, keep it going. Good for 5. Keep listening, good, couple more. Yeah, I got it.
Now who do you call when the snow bests the snowplow? One of the trailing units of a train passing through Texas suddenly exploded and caught fire. The train was eventually stopped near a station, where firefighters quickly responded to extinguish the blaze. Thanks to their swift action, no one was harmed. Now that was close. During rush hour in Japan, professional shovers, yes, an actual job, help squeeze in as many people as possible. This is a clear example of the politeness of the Japanese culture, although it certainly wouldn't be met with the same level of kindness and cooperation in other countries. These guys should serve as a clear example of how not to cross train tracks. They irresponsibly did it as a train was passing through. Luckily, their mistake didn't result in harm this time. Who would have thought small sticks could cause such a big problem? The high-voltage overhead wires on this train caught fire because of them, even leading to an explosion. As the train rolled over rails with grinders, it gave off a satisfying zing, with sparks flying like fireworks. Railroad ASMR at its finest. This train is located in the middle of a street in Hanoi, Vietnam, so the people have to be constantly alert as it frequently passes by. A burning train is scary enough on its own, but this one doesn't have a conductor. Ghost train? You can see the comparison between the old and new parallel trains, and it's very clear which one wins. In Cologne, Germany, train tracks go right through buildings. This design was created to make the most of the limited space in the city, allowing trains to pass through without disrupting the busy roads and tram lines. Sparks are flying everywhere as this train with rail grinders passes by, smoothing out the tracks. The grinders use rotating stones to reshape the rails, creating sparks as they remove imperfections and wear, ensuring a smoother and safer ride for trains. At the Parade of Steam in West Virginia, 3 trains puffed by in a cloud of smoke. If you didn't know better, you'd think a storm was rolling in. Because of a flood in Germany, this train had to move through a lot of water, to the point that you couldn't even see the tracks anymore. The Botchan Rasha, a diesel-powered replica of an old steam locomotive in Matsuyama, Japan, can't quite make it to the next station without a little human intervention. This is not the kind of action you'd expect to see at a railway museum. At first it looks like whoever was in this car was heading towards their end, until a teenager allegedly caused a $350,000 train crash when a misaligned switch sent a locomotive barreling into an empty coal car. Luckily, no one was hurt.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my freaking god! Oh my god, are they okay? Okay, so this arbor just hit a defective car, apparently, and is now on the ground. Badly.
A freight train carrying fuel derailed and caught fire, shutting down the I-40, a major trucking route. Thankfully, no one was harmed. Again, it is never a good idea to cross the train tracks if one is coming. This guy just got super lucky. At first, these drivers thought it was just a regular train passing by, until suddenly a few carriages detached and rolled back toward them. But then, just when they thought the danger had finally passed, one more little train car decided to join in on the fun. A single tanker zoomed past a crossing, leaving drivers frozen in shock as cars stalled. When a train passes a red signal, it can cause the safety points to derail it onto a side track, just like this. The points aren't broken, but getting the heavy train back on the track must have been a real challenge. I feel bad for the workers who had to clean up this mess. Cold weather caused the overhead wires on this train to freeze, disrupting train services. Guess winter just always has to have the last laugh. During a crash test, this train shattered into pieces, proving that A, it probably wasn't ready for testing, and B, this is why we need crash tests. This car and tram completely crashed into each other. Fortunately, they were both slow enough that no one was hurt. The coal train separated and locked down during an emergency, making for quite a dramatic scene. Definitely not the kind of split anyone wants to see. Either this train is really vibing to those bouncy beats, or this track is super worn out. This road sign had no chance once this tram had made up its mind. This train was decked out in Christmas lights, making it look super magical as it rolled by. The engine of this train started overheating, causing fire and smoke just about everywhere. At first, this train just seems to be releasing a lot of steam, but soon it turns into smoke and fire. This steam train really lived up to its name. You could barely see the town around it because of how much steam it released. While it seemed like it was on track at first, this train completely derailed. Don't click off yet. If you love our videos, subscribe now and hit that bell. And wait, there's more videos for you right here on the screen. Just click on the one that grabbed your interest and enjoy. See you there!